What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Headshot and thank you guys for joining us for our comparison on the LC9s Pro versus the LCP2. Thank you guys for of course watching and joining us on this one. We're gonna go ahead and lay it out right now before anybody comments on this video. No, they're not apples to apples, just like the Shield versus the Glock 26. This is not a direct comparison, but the reason we do this is there is a lot of Ruger fans out there that want to know the differences on these. They want, somebody that has experience with both guns, and we are here, hopefully, to fulfill those requests and give you an idea of just how different these guns are. Hopefully at the end of the video you can make your own determination about which one you like better, and I'm gonna tell you which one I personally like better. We're gonna talk about pros and cons. We're of course gonna do some shooting, we're gonna show you everything we know about them. So let's go ahead and get started. The original, not the original, but the LC9s Pro, I feel this gun really jump-started Ruger's transition to allow us self-defense, conceal carrying type of people to not have safeties, to have decent triggers, and all of that good stuff. So we have reviewed this gun a couple of times. It is fantastic. Right out of the box, you're going to get a little carrying pouch. You're going to get your paperwork, manual, all that good stuff. You'll get a pinky extension. So if you'd rather have that as opposed to the flat base plate, you do have that option right out of the box. So let's get that one out of the way and show you what comes with the LCP2. You're going to get a little pocket holster. You're of course going to get the gun, one 6-round magazine with your pinky extension, and then you will get paperwork, sticker, all that good stuff, and you also get a flat base plate if that's the way you want to run it. So I'm gonna take that out right there. We'll move this to the side, and let's go ahead and talk about each gun and their specs here really quick. I didn't mention that the LC9s Pro is going to come with one 7-round magazine. Of course, this one is in 9mm, and the LCP2 is in 380. Overall length on the LC9s Pro is 6 inches. On the LCP2 is 5.1 inches. Dry weight, unloaded weight on the LCP2 is 10.6 ounces. On the LC9s is 17.2 ounces. So you have 7 ounces, not including any kind of ammo. And that's a pretty big difference right there. That's pretty significant. The height on the LCP2 is 3.7 inches. On the LC9s Pro is 4.5 inches. Show you how that looks here really quick as we're going along. Of course, you will have a little bit of difference with this pinky extension on there, but even then, you still have a good inch right there, and that's a big dimension as well. That, of course, is what you're trying to conceal. If you go with the flat base plate, it's going to be a little bit shorter too, all the way across there. So and then of course if you add your pinky extension on here, it's not gonna look exactly like that, but I'm just being lazy, but you get the idea. This one is definitely a good bit taller than the LCP2 right there. Both of them have blued alloy barrels and slides, and they're both glass filled nylon. So it's supposed to be a higher strength polymer. The MSRP on the LCP2 is $349. I got it for $288, and then the on the LC9s Pro, the MSRP is $479. I picked this one up a couple years ago for like $350. With this one, I paid a $20 transfer. So really, right now, because this gun has been out for a while, I've seen them on sale for $299 sometimes. So you can actually almost get these for the same exact price. Because this one is brand new, it'll drop down in the mid twos, maybe even 220, $2.25 eventually. For sure it will drop down, I'm sure. On the LCP2, It does not come with a safety. You cannot get it with a safety. On the LC9s Pro, you actually can get it with a safety. The catch to that is you're also going to have it with a magazine disconnect. That's something I don't like. You know, you drop the mag out, if you have a round in the chamber, whatever may happen, now you can't fire that gun. On the Pro version, which is what this is, there's no manual safety, and it does not have a magazine disconnect. So that's the way I opted to go when I bought this. This is actually not my gun. I actually sold it to a friend of mine, and he was kind enough to let us borrow it for this review. But either way, this is a great little option, but you do have the option to get this one with or without a safety. Let's talk about some of the improvements here on the LCP2. Front and rear cocking serrations now. Magazine button works well. The grip texture is actually improved dramatically. This actually feels really good in the hand, locking the gun in your hand. It is a smaller gun, so that is definitely a benefit as well. And then the trigger. I'm going to go ahead and show you this here really quick. You have a little dingus on the trigger there. You hit a wall, a little bit of creep, and then it breaks. And then the reset right there. So much improved over the original, which was a long double action only type of pull. And you can see back here, you do have a little hammer, but it only cocks it back just a little bit, and then it strikes the firing pin in there. So very, very nice there. And then the LC9s, or the LC9, which was a long double action pull type of gun as well. They went back to the drawing board. They made some improvements on this one as well. Most notably, the trigger. Out of all the single stacks on the market, in my opinion, this is the best trigger, bar none. So basically you have a dingus as well. You hit a wall, a little bit of creep, but that trigger is so light and crisp. And then the reset right there. Very, very much needed improvement on this gun. Of course, no magazine disconnect. That is another upgrade. You have a loaded viewport. So on the original LC9, you had that chamber indicator that stuck up. It told you the gun was loaded. It was bright red. It was ridiculous. On this gun, they've cleaned it up, and now they trust us to be able to use their guns. Isn't that great? On the other side, no slide stop or anything like that, and your magazine button is not reversible on this gun. On either guns, they're both set up that way. There are trigger guard attachments if you want a light or a laser or anything like that. So on this one, I don't know if there's too much yet, but eventually the aftermarket will catch up for sure. All right, let's go ahead and show you how they break down here really quick, and then we will get to some shooting. Pull the trigger on the LCP2. Of course, you want to make sure it's clear. Pull this pin up. I hate these pins. I don't know why they can't get away from these pins, but I'm not a fan. You have a steel guide rod that just popped way out. I'll have to go get that with dual springs. Obviously, it's not captive. And then your 2.7 inch 380 barrel cone design. That's something that Ruger likes to do as well. And then on the LC9s Pro, push your little window or whatever back there, and then you just cheat back on the side just a little bit. You can see your pin in there, and this one is loose enough where you kind of just bang it through most of the time anyways. All right, so you get the pin. Get the pin to drop out eventually. Take the slide off. This one is a dual captive recoil spring. And then your barrel, same kind of cone design there. And of course it's a 9mm. Striker fired, you do have a firing pin block right there. So you can see they're a little bit different in design. Obviously this one has the hammer with the firing pin. Striker fired, but overall, internally, a little bit different, but not too much at all. You can see your rails right here. Kind of like a half length, almost type of full length, but they're like half length, 3/4 length type of setup. Putting them back together. LC9s Pro, pretty simple. Put your recoil spring in there. This is a metal recoil spring as well. Put it back in there like that. Cheat back on the slide again. Take your pen, push it down in there, push your window up. Make sure you're good, and we are good. All right, then on the LC9s Pro, found my guide rod. Put the guide rod back in there like that. And push it down there like that. And put it on there like that. And you're gonna want to make sure it's lined up correctly. It doesn't look like this one is. Something isn't right anyways. Oh, it's the hammer. On this one, you got to push the hammer back, and then it's going to go on for you. All right, and then with this pen, you actually got to push it down at an angle like that, about 45 degrees or so. It's a little bit of a pain, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan of pens. Alright, and then cheat back on the slide a little bit. Function test. Boom. Good. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to some shooting. We'll show you how both of them look side by side. After we get back, we'll show you the trigger weights, how the guns actually shot, how they carry, pros and cons, and then we'll end the video out. And then we'll tell you which one we like better and why. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Sorry.
Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. As you can see, both of them are actually really decent shooters. This one, of course, does have a little bit more recoil. Even though it's only a 380, it does jump a little bit more in your hand than the LC9s Pro because of its small size and weight and all that kind of stuff. Let me go and show you the trigger weights here really quick. We'll pull them a couple times each just to give you an idea of what they look like. 5 pounds, 15 ounces. It's about what we've gotten on this thing, so it's stayed pretty consistent. 5 pounds, 7 ounces. That's probably the lightest pull we've had. And then the LC9s Pro. Man, does this thing have a good trigger. I'm telling you. If you want a gun with one of the best triggers, 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Some people call this trigger scary light. You know, if you're unsafe, it could be. 4 pounds 2 ounces. Amazing trigger on this gun. You know, safety, safety, safety. That's what it's about. I don't think it's scary light unless you're scary with a gun, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion, but very nice trigger on this gun for sure. As far as shooting the LC9s Pro, it is a little bit lighter in the realm of single stack, so there is a little bit of jump, there is a little bit of movement in your hand or whatever, but it's not bad at all. It's very controllable. The groups you can get with this gun are just insane. The sights on this gun are very decent. 3 dots, they're kind of small, not a huge fan of that. And I guess replacing these sights on the Ruger guns, you know, it pretty much takes a gunsmith to do it, unless you are pretty well versed in that, you know, and actually doing that. But hiccups on this gun, we haven't had a bunch of hiccups or anything like that. I don't even know that we've had one hiccup with this gun, and we've used some really crappy ammo through this gun, just regular ball stuff, and it just does a really great job. The slide serrations on this gun work really well. They're cut kind of deep, as you can see there, so those work well. It's not a really stiff gun either. A lot of these smaller guns are kind of stiff. This one, you can actually manipulate it if you have weaker hands or whatever. Works well. The magazine button, the magazines and everything, very responsive. So you do have a lot going on with this gun. You have a lot going for it, and I really like it. I'm a huge fan of this gun. On the LCP2, the sights are not that great. They kind of took 2 steps back with these sights. On the LCP Custom, the one with the red trigger, you know, they actually upgraded the sights. On this one, they decided to mill the sights out instead of giving it a decent set of sights, and I just don't understand why they would do that. I assume it's, you know, something to do with, you know, snagging as you're pulling it out of a holster and, you know, all this kind of stuff, but I just think it was 2 steps back on that. But shooting the gun, it's not bad. The trigger is a much needed improvement on this gun. It's actually what drew me to this gun, because the original LCP, I had held it a couple times, but I didn't want anything to do with that gun. With this one, the trigger is much better. Lining up the sights can be a little bit of an issue, but that trigger is very, very good. But shooting the gun over an extended period of time, I started to get some pain back here in my hand, and that's just from just trying to grip the gun and just trying to get comfortable with it. It's not like the recoil was beating me up or anything. It was just a matter of just holding the gun, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. Pinky extension is, unless you have super small hands, it is really not a pinky extension. It's more of an extension to, you know, help better serve your third finger and keeping that gun in place. So shooting each one of the guns, they're different. They are very different. LC9s Pro to me is more controllable. It's more predictable in the way it shoots, but the LCP2 is not bad for that small of gun. I think it is definitely a good option, especially if you need a small little pocket gun. Carrying the guns right out of the box, you get to carry the LCP2. Of course, I wouldn't recommend it just walking out of the gun shop carrying this gun, because you have no idea how it shoots unless you actually shoot it beforehand. You know, I would definitely recommend that. Kind of got off on a little tangent there, but you do have a holster for your gun right from the factory. That is a good thing. On the LC9s, of course, you have to buy a holster. The way the guy that bought this from me carries it, this is the way he's found that he actually likes it. This is one of the Sneaky Pete's or something like that, I think. Goes on the outside, you know, something like that. This is not me. You know, people, I'm sure people ask him all the time, oh, is that a phone or a small computer? You know, all those kind of jokes or whatever. But this is not my style, but if it's something that you like, then that is great. This is how he likes to carry it. Me personally, when I had this gun, I carried it inside the waistband, and it is lighter than a lot of the single stacks out there. and carries like a dream. It really does. If you're somebody like Mrs. Headshot, she wears tighter clothes, this gun prints a little bit too much inside the waistband anyways. There's other ways she could carry that if she wanted to, but this inside the waistband doesn't print at all. So that little bit of extra grip length for her really works out for her. So that's something you may or may not want to consider, that little bit of extra grip length. Although it makes holding the gun more comfortable, it's going to print a little bit more too, depending on what type of clothes, your body type, etc., etc. So just something to keep in mind on that one. All right, let's go and do pros and cons, and then I'll tell you which one I personally like better. Pros on the LCP2: the grip texture is much better. Does a really great job of keeping it in your hands. The trigger is definitely 100 times better than the original LCP, and it really does shoot pretty well. The overall size, like I said, carrying the gun is very easy to carry. If you are somebody that is sensitive to weight and size of a gun, but you want to make sure you have one on you, I would definitely check this gun out, because it is super light and easy to carry for sure. The slide for a small gun like this, it's easy to actually manipulate. Working the gun all the way around, magazine button and everything is really responsive. Dropping the slide, if you want to drop it with the slide stop, unlike the LC9s Pro in particular, you can actually use that if you like dropping the slide like that. So manipulation of this gun, even though it is so small, it actually functions and all that kind of stuff really well. So that's the pros on the LCP2. A lot of good things going on with this gun. The LC9s Pro, the trigger on this gun, again, is great. I love this thing. Shooting the gun, it really invokes confidence in your carry gun, which I feel is very important. Being able to take a gun like this, and in this small of gun, I mean, it is still small. It looks big compared to the LCP2, but it's still small. It's carryable. But being able to take a gun like this to the range, have a good time with it, and being able to shoot some of the groups you can with this gun is very impressive. Slide and everything. Manipulation, again, on this gun, you have Ruger reliability, you have ruggedness. You're not going to get a whole bunch of extra fancy anything on these guns, but they are going to work for you, and they're going to work well. Being able to manipulate this gun, slide, everything works really well. So you have a gun that you can actually trust for sure. Lightweight, concealable for a small 9, for a single stack 9. The improvements they made, no magazine disconnect, all of that good stuff. If you are looking at a single stack 9, this is one that should be at the top of your list. What about the cons? On both guns, from the factory, only one magazine. I hate that. I know they're trying to keep the price down, but I'd rather pay an extra 20 bucks and just have the magazine right then and there, and be able to, just have 2 magazines. I hate that they send only 1 magazine, but that's just the way it is. But for me, it's a con. One thing I didn't mention on the LCP2, the original LCP mags will work, but the slide won't lock back. And then your 7-round magazines for this gun will not work at all. And then on the LC9s Pro, it's going to be the same thing as far as from what I've seen. The original magazines and everything will work, and the slide will lock back with them as well. And I believe the extended 9-round magazines will work in this gun as well. Holsters, accessories, all that stuff, because it is the same design and everything. So that is definitely a good thing. Also, cons on the LCP2, it hurts to shoot. It really does. Whenever you're trying to find that sweet spot and shooting, and it just got me back here. Mrs. Headshot, she was hurting more in here. You try not to over grip a gun like this, but because it's so small, it's just trying to get it comfortable, get everything lined up. The sights suck on this gun. Not a fan of that at all. I feel they should have done, at least the LCP custom sights, but that's just my opinion on it. But other than that, there's not a lot of cons with the gun. If you're a left-handed shooter, with both these guns, you know, you can't reverse magazine button releases. Slide stops aren't, you know, ambidextrous. But, you know, that's just one of those things. On the LC9s Pro, again, one magazine. It's a takedown procedure that I'm not a fan of. I don't like the pins or whatever. Not being able to change the sights as easily as other guns, you know, that's kind of a con. Other than that, this thing is great. So both of them have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. 9mm versus 380, that's a discussion for a completely another day, but which one do I like better and why? In my opinion, the LC9s Pro offers you more for just a little bit more. A little bit more weight, a little bit more money, a little bit longer grip, and a lot more power. You're going to have, you know, in my opinion, a superior caliber that's going to be cheaper to run and is going to hit harder. And to me, this is the clear winner between the two. The lightweight, you know, of this gun, but still being able to shoot it with that amazing trigger. I think this gun offers you a lot more, but that's not taking anything away from this. So, you know, it's kind of it's kind of unfair in, you know, the way these are set up, because this gun is so small. It is for you know, a distinct purpose, pocket, deep conceal type of carry where you can't have anybody know that you're carrying a gun. This is going to be a good option, but I think the LC9s will offer you more. But depending on your needs, you may need to go with the LCP2. Hopefully that helped you out. The LCP2 versus the LC9s Pro, they both have a lot of good things going for them. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you have one of the two or both of them, let me know which one you like better. And we will see you guys in the next one. And as always, hold them down.